Welcome everyone to our Monday night shiur. Before we begin, our shiur is sponsored anonymously. Our shiur is sponsored anonymously. La'atzlachat the anonymous sponsors' children. May they live long, fruitful, happy lives. Shalom bayit, bracha, v'atzlacha, zivugim agunim. Amen. Ken yeh ratzon. Zechut adat tzedakah yagen aleinu. So this week's Parashat Matot Mas'eh, we're finishing the book of Bamidbar. We're heading into the book of Devarim. The year is over. This week's Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh Av. Av, Elul. By Sfaradim, we start Selichot in Elul. Finitos. Once Selichot starts, already the Avirah of the New Year is in the air and you're done. What else? What Teshuvah you're going to do already? We got to start doing Teshuvah right now. And Marasot. Now, this year, Rosh Chodesh Av falls out on Shabbat. It's good, right? Because we cannot eat meat and drink wine for 9 days. That's a machloket. How about Rosh Chodesh? Some poskim say A, some poskim say B. But this year is going to be no ba'aya. Why? Shabbat is above Rosh Chodesh. So we're able to eat meat and drink wine even on Rosh Chodesh, which this year falls out on Shabbat Kodesh. Now, there's a big machloket during the week of Av, right? 9 days. Because this year, laundry, taking hot showers, none of this are applicable because Tisha B'Av falls out on a Sunday. But this whole week, leading until Tisha B'Av, we cannot eat meat and drink wine. Nachon? The question is, what about other forms of alcohol? Whiskey, schmisky, all that.
It's not a great product.
It's not a great product. So the machloket is, real quick, why do we stop drinking wine on the 9 days of Av?
Libation.
Is it because of the wine libations that stopped happening during the Korban Beit HaMikdash? Or is it because alcohol makes us jittery and happy, this, that? According to the one who says it's because of the wine libations, so that means you're allowed to drink other forms of alcohol. They didn't ever spill whiskey on the Mizbeach. According to the one who said, no, it makes you happy and jittery, that means it would be also asur to drink any forms of alcohol. Each one should ask the rabbi what Shulchan Aruch says wine.
It doesn't say why.
It doesn't say why, exactly. That's already the poskim bring down why you're not allowed to drink wine. It's not clear, but Ovadia brings these two opinions. You should ask your Rav what he holds as the reason. I mean, I'm sure nobody here drinks during the week, but in case they do, it's a question that it begs to be answered. Now, what does that have to do with our Parashat Matot Mas'eh? The ending of Sefer Bamidbar. How does the book of Bamidbar end? With which halakha? Does anybody know which halakha does Sefer Bamidbar end with? Huh? The Ir Miklat. If a human kills by mistake. And the Torah spends the last page. If you look, the Mashlim, this week's Mashlim, it's huge. It's literally a whole amud of the Sefer Torah. And the word that keeps on popping up over there is Rotzeach. The killer. It's a really tough, it's a very heavy aliyah. And then it ends also with the Bnot Tzalofchad, the daughters of Tzalofchad, that didn't have a brother, so they inherited their father. And the Torah ends with how they listened to Moshe Rabbeinu, the woman listened. Why does the Torah point out that the woman listened? To teach us that the men didn't listen to Moshe during the 40 years in the desert. Rashi says that during the 40 years of the desert, the guys wanted to go back to Mitzrayim, and the woman would say, like the daughters of Tzalofchad, we want an inheritance in Eretz Israel. Why do women want Eretz Israel and men want Chutz La'aretz? What is the reason Kabbalistically that men are more drawn to Chutz La'aretz and women are more drawn to Eretz Israel?
They're on a higher level. They're on a higher level, no?
Malchut and Yesod. In the 10 Sfirot, Keter, Chochmah, Binah, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzachot, Yesod, and Malchut. The Yesod, which is the breed, corresponds to the male, the men. Right? We have the Yesod. The women also have a Yesod, but a different Yesod. We have the Yesod. The Yesod, it's connected to the whole body. So therefore, men want to live wherever there is Parnasah. If Parnasah is in Australia, he's going to go to Australia. If he's in New York, go to New York. If he finds it in Sao Paulo in Brazil, he's going to go to Brazil. He doesn't care. As long as they're what's over there? Parnasah, pool. He wants pool. Why? The shorish of a man is Yesod. Yesod is Parnasah. A woman, her shorish is in the sphere of Malchut. Malchut is the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is also called Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, the women have a desire to live in Eretz Yisrael more than men. Our Tikkun is to be drawn to the Malchut, to take that Parnasah and give it to the Eretz Yisrael and not to give it to the rest of the world. But what's interesting, this week's Parashat is going to be our main focus today. I have a lot of sources for you. Gemarot, Zohar, the Ari Kadosh. I hope we get through all of it. I doubt it, obviously. But one interesting thing this week's Parashat, we have two. Actually, we're going to talk about. One is Kaas, anger in Klal Yisrael. And number two, Hirhurim Ra'im, having bad thoughts. Having lewd thoughts. Let's say like that. L-E-W-D, lewd thoughts. Now, the Gemara in Masechet Kiddushin says, a person who has a bad thought, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Metzarfa Lamaaseh. A person who has a lewd thought, Hashem doesn't take the thought and make it kabuta bi, he did it. A thought is a thought, and action is an action. But there is a contradiction, seemingly contradiction, in a Gemara in Masechet Yoma. Gemara Masechet Yoma says, Hirhure Avera, which is lewd thoughts, bad thoughts. It doesn't specifically say what kind of thoughts. Kashin me Avera. They're worse than the action. They're worse than the Avera itself. So from here, what do we see? That Hirhurim Ra'im, which is in the Machshava, is worse than actually doing the actual Avera. Well, how could that be? When you do an Avera, you're actually putting from the potential into the kinetic. Yeah, you're putting it into action. That's worse, right? But when you do it in the Machshava, okay, who knows the Machshavot? Only one. We say the 13 attributes of our Emunah every morning from the Rambam. One of them. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows our thoughts. No angel knows our thoughts. No human being knows our thoughts. There's no telepathy. You know, all those stories you hear of Mekubalim, they see the person, he could read his thoughts. He never reads his thoughts. What a Mekubal could read, if he gets to that level, is the letters that glow from your forehead. That's what a Mekubal could reach, or a big Chassid or Tzaddik. But he can never actually read your thoughts. He cannot hear your thoughts. This isn't the X-Men over here. Okay? What he could see is the Aleph Bet that glow in your forehead. Now, even if he sees the Aleph Bet in your forehead, he has to also have the Chokhmah, how to interpret it. You understand? So, for example, one time, the Ari Kadosh sees in Rav Chaim Vital's forehead that the letters Bet and Gimel were upside down. So, he told Rav Chaim Vital, you know what that means? That you didn't respect your father enough this week. So the letters of Bet and Gimel, they're upside down in your forehead. Why? The Bet is Abba. Gimel is Gomel Chesed. Instead of the Gimel facing the Bet in your forehead, it's facing another way, showing you that you are Pogem B'Kvod Avicha Ve'imcha. So, like this, you have to talk. A person sees a Bet and a Gimel. First of all, you don't see nothing, and even if you would, you wouldn't even know what it is. So what's the difference already, you know? Also, one time, Rabbi Chaim Vital, he was really after to how to read the palm. There's a specific chokhmah. Rav Yosef talks about it. And when he was in Egypt, there was a rabbi over there. He wasn't even a rabbi. He was a balabas, but he knew from his teacher, how to read a person's palm. He used to look at the palm and tell what you did yesterday and how old are you, this and that. And Rav Chaim Vital really wanted to learn that. He really wanted to know the power of the palm of the hand. And whatever happened was, the Ari HaKadosh said, I don't want you to learn it. It's not for you. You have to reach the level of knowing a person just through looking at him. You don't need to look at his palm, through this, through that. One time, behind Vital wanted to make a trick to the Ari. So what did he do? He told the woman, go with your daughter, ask my Rebbe a question. I'm going to look from the side what he's seeing over there. The Ari HaKadosh, he had Ruach Nevuah, not Nevuah, but Ruach Nevuah. He knew what his student wanted to do. And what he told the woman, go at the other end of the room, do your like this to me. I don't need to see from up front even. I could just even look like this, I can tell you everything. And he told her, Chaim Vital, it's not for you. You don't need to learn these things. Stay away from these divinities, kosmim, this, that. We don't need this kind of stuff. This week's parasha, what did we learn? They saw Bil'am on the way. What did they do to him? Shechita they made to him. There's a whole midrash how the general of the tribe of Dan went up over there and they started to do Star Wars with him in the Shamayim. And he slaughters Bil'am lefi Anyway, it's not a point of our thing, but the Hirhur Avera. The whole point is about the Hirhur Avera. Where do we see this week's parasha that a Hirhur Avera is an Avera. Where do we see in this week's parasha? Anyone know?
Probably talks about the first leader or second leader.
It doesn't say it explicitly. We see it when Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Jewish leaders, every tribe has to send 1,000 men to the army. 12,000 men. And like we said on Shabbat, remember? When they went to the war against Midian, they didn't go against Moab, even though the Moabite girls were also with the Midianite girls. But since Ruth would in the future come out from Moab, Hashem said you can't touch them. Rashi says this. So even for one neshama, look at this. If one tzaddik lives amongst all the Rishayim, look how it gets, even if it's not alive yet. Even if it's not alive yet. But Hashem told Moshe from the Midianim, nothing good is going to come out of these guys. They're Rishayim, descendants are Rishayim, at Sof Adorot. Where do we see that also in the Torah? I'll give you a hint, it's in Sefer Shemot. Moshe Rabbeinu, it says he looked here and there. Where does it say that? By the Mitzri. It says, Vayifen ko vako. Vayar ki en ish, and he saw there was no man. Vayachet ha-Mitzri. Vayichaseu ba'afar. He hits the Mitzri, and he covers him with the sand. So Zohar says, he didn't actually look to his right and left. He looked to his right to see if any tzaddikim come out from this side of the family, from the paternal side. And he looked to the left, any tzaddikim would come out, even from if he had any girls, from the girls' side. And he saw Vayar ki en ish. Nothing good is coming out of him. Vayachet ha-Mitzri, and he gave him a nice smacking, a nice shatet. And of course, the Ari says he didn't actually kill him with a hand or with power. He killed him with his words. He used the name of Hashem. The name of Hashem is we have this kavanah every Shemona Yisrael. Hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. The last three letters of those last three words is taf, chaf, hey.
That's what he said?
That's why he thought of these letters with a specific meditation that he did. He thought of it. It's one of the names of Hashem, and he was able to slaughter the Mitzri, who was the Gilgul of Cain, and Moshe was Hevel. We know the whole story. Okay? And then, by the way, that Mitzri comes back as JC. Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya says that was JC himself. Because his son, remember that Mitzri's son was the one who cursed Hashem. Remember? So Cain, the Zohama of Cain, says the Ari in Sefer HaGilgulim, not Shar HaGilgulim. Sefer HaGilgulim. The Zohama of Cain, every Shoresh has a Zohama, came back as JC. That's why he's always against us. Because the most tzaddikim come from Shoresh Heaven. Mostly Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rav Huna, Rav Hamnuna. Big tzaddikim also came from Cain, but most of the Ari HaKadosh was from Hevel. Most of the big tzaddikim come from Hevel. How do you know that Ari says somebody's from Hevel or Cain? He gives some kind of bodily signs. From your body you could tell. It could be from a different shorish altogether. But let's say you're from Cain or Hevel. Usually people who come from Cain, they're very strongly built. They're fighters. They like to fight. They also like to work with their hands. People who are from Hevel, they're very weak in their body. They're also very good orators. They like to. They know how to speak. From the word Hevel. Hevel is to speech. Also,
the Jews.
That's all the Jews. Not in the IDF. Also Hevel or Gruzinim. Also Hevel. Cain. People are from Cain. If you're from Cain, one of the signs is that you're very afraid of water. You don't like to go inside water. You get very midbahel. You get like a water paranoia. You understand? Because Cain, their shorish is gevurot, which is fire. When you fire sees water, even if he's not really a fire, but his shorish is a fire, he sees the water, he wants to stay away from it. And a couple of other signs. Shorish Cain is rotzchim. They have the power to embarrass people all the time. They like to spill blood. They like to see blood. They're shochatim. The Nimolim. Now don't right now say this guy is like this. These are just signs. If you are from Cain and Hevel, if you are, these are connected to you. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu was from Hevel, by the way. Right? And he couldn't speak, but not because he couldn't speak, because remember he burnt his mouth? When he was a kid, he burnt his mouth. His brother Aharon was his translator. Aharon was also from Hevel. They were two brothers from the same Shoresh Neshama, and Miriam was their sister from the woman's side. In a sense, so there were three of them together. When one of them passed away, they lost the water. When Aharon passed away, they lost the clouds. But Moshe, from his zechut, he brought all three back together. When Moshe passed away, Yehoshua didn't have the power to bring all three back. Also, the scepter of the stick of Moshe, Yehoshua didn't use that. Once Moshe passed away, that stick that he got from Yosef, that he got from Yaakov, from Yitzchak, from Abraham, who got it from Shem, and he got it from Noach, and he got it from Chanoch, Metushelach, and all the way till Adam HaRishon, that stick was gone. After Moshe passed away, Yehoshua didn't have permission to use the stick. He didn't have permission. What did Yehoshua use? A scepter, a kidon. That's what he used to use, a scepter, because he was also a king. In a certain level, he was a king. Now, back to what we were saying. So this week's parasha, Moshe sends the Jews to go out to war, 12,000, and their one job is to take revenge. That's what the parasha says. They went out to take revenge, and trust me, these 12,000 warriors, they took a nice revenge from the Midianim. Like Hashem says, Tzroret HaMidianim. You know, Tzroret is the only one alive. It was a Milchemet Mitzvah, it wasn't a Milchemet Reshut. Milchemet Mitzvah is when Mashiach Tzidkenu comes, Mashiach says we all got to go to war against Amalek. Who's Amalek? A, B, C, D, E. Okay, all the guys, let's go. What do you mean all the guys, let's go? He just got married. Torah says you got married, you can't go out to war. No. Milchemet Mitzvah, afilu kala b'chupata. Even a woman who just came out of the chuppah, she has to also help. If she could, she has to go out. Everyone, Milchemet Mitzvah, everyone goes out. It's a mitzvah in the Torah. You understand? It's called Milchemet Reshut. Only you ask, are you afraid? I'm sorry, I'm afraid. I gotta go back.
What's an example
Of Milchemet Mitzvah? Over here, Midyanim. Reshut? Milchemet Reshut, for example, the Milchamot that David HaMelech did with the Moab, this, that. Those are called Milchemet Reshut. But over here, for example, with the Midyanim was a Milchemet Mitzvah. How do we know it was a Milchemet Mitzvah? So, number one, when they went to the war, they came back, they were successful. When they came back with a lot of
gold stuff.
A lot of the booty. You understand? A lot of the loot. Exactly, it's a better word. A lot of the loot they came back with. When they came back with the loot, they also came back with the women. They didn't kill the women.
Were they supposed to?
Milchemet Mitzvah. Hashem says, Tzroret HaMidyanim, v'kitem otam. So it says over here in the pasuk. Let me just read it to you real quick. It says over here, ויצאו משה ואלעזר הכהן וכל נשיאי העדה לקראתם מחוץ למחנה. Moshe and Elazar, they were very proud of them, obviously. So they go to greet them on their way in because it's a mitzvah to bring in the people. ויקצוף משה על פיקודי החיל. Moshe gets angry. שרי האלפים ושרי המאות. Not only on the big generals, also on the lieutenants, on the sergeants. And not even one of you guys know the halakha. Are you serious? He's a big tzaddikim. Because only a tzaddik goes out to war, not like this. Right. So it says over here, Moshe tells them, Moshe, hachiyitem kol nekeva, you let the women live? They were the ones that were responsible for the death of the tribe of Shimon. How did you let them live? So Rashi says something interesting. He says that they were able to tell which woman did Avera with which Jew. That means Moshe was so upset. That means it's not only did you leave the regular women alive, you also left the ones that did the Avera with the guys. You know, this one did the Avera with this one. Rashi says this one he did the Avera with this one. This one Avera did this and this. Moshe was very upset and he got angry. We're gonna see in a second. This is from where we see in the parasha. Moshe's anger causes him to lose his halachot. That means even though he was anger in the correct way, he was supposed to get angry because Moshe Rabbeinu's status. Even this anger, Hashem was makpid on him. Where else do we see this halacha? Remember when Elazar and Itamar, when their brothers died, they burnt the Korban Chatat. Yeah. And Moshe got angry, and then he forgot the halacha. He had to ask Hashem what was the halacha. And we're going to see inside the Gemara Masechet Shabbat, whenever a Talmid Chacham gets angry, he forgets halachot. If he's a Navi, he forgets his Nevu'ah. If he's a Talmid Chacham, he forgets halachot. If he's meant to be a king, he loses his Gedulah. Wow. We're going to see it in a second inside the Gemara. After that, Hashem now they come back with a lot of kelim. Kelim is utensils. And over here we learned the halacha that if you get something from a goy, you have to dip it inside the mikveh. Now who says the halacha over here? Moshe doesn't say the halacha. Aaron has passed away. Elazar HaKohen says the halacha. So Rashi says, why did Elazar say the halacha and not Moshe? Mitalma imenu halacha. Because he got angry, he lost the halacha. He couldn't remember the halacha. Wow. Couldn't remember it. It's not even a simple halacha, it's a shorish. I mean, it's a mitzvah. When you get something from a goy, if it's metal, it has to go to the mikveh. If it's whatever the case is, if they ate from it non-kosher food, it has to go through fire. It's all in this week's parasha. So Moshe forgets the halacha, and then something even crazier happens. Many people don't know this, and today we're going to talk about it a little bit. It's called a hirhur avera. So it says over here that the people in the war, when they came to Moshe, they told Moshe, we want to bring a Korban. We want to bring a Korban. What kind of Korban? Very interesting. It's the one time the Jews didn't bring a Korban from the actual animals. They brought the Korban from the actual bounty and all the loot that they got from the Midyanim. And I'm going to connect this to why they brought the Korban. So Moshe Rabbeinu gets very upset. He asked them, why do you want to bring a Korban? Did you do Avera with those Midianite women when you were there? So they told Moshe, the Gemara says, not only didn't we do an Avera, we were all on the same level as when we left to the war. So then Moshe says, why do you want to bring the Korban? So here is a very interesting Rashi, and we're going to read it inside. Rashi says when they were splitting the malkoach, the loot, it says over here. Just want to see it. Okay. So it says they brought the korban from the actual loot, and they brought agil. Agil it translates as a ring, but we're gonna see in a minute it doesn't mean a ring. And they brought a kumaz. A kumaz, the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat. I'm gonna read it to you inside. It says over here, "V'nakrev et korban Hashem." It means they're calling this tzedakah a korban Hashem. This is already, you should raise a red flag over here. Korbanot are not tzedakah. Korbanot is animals. It's a sacrifice. But they're calling their tzedakah a korban. And it says anyone who found gold, an anklet is a foot bracelet, a bracelet, a ring, and the tabat is a ring. Over here, then it says a ring, a tabat, the agil. And then we translate it as an agil, but it's not an agil, and a kumaz. So the Gemara asks, Amar Bil Azar, what's an agil? The Gemara asks this question. So the Gemara says, Masechet Shabbat, page 64, agil zetfus shel dadin. It was a specific ornament, like a necklace, that the woman would wear it specifically between their bosom, so the man would be attracted to their chest. And the Gemara then says, what's a kumaz? Zetfus shel bet harechem. That's they used to wear like a specific ornament covering their erva. I don't want to translate it. You guys know what I'm talking about. That was called a kumaz. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yosef, Ihachi, Hainu Dimitar Gamir. That's now I understand how come in Aramaic a kumaz means a machuch. What's a machuch? Something that makes you very frivolous, excited. Something that makes you blush. That's a kumaz. In Aramaic, it's called a machuch. Why? Because it makes you gachich. Gachich makes you all, jittery and levity, frivolous, joyful. Not joyful in a positive way. Jovial, exactly. You understand? That's why it's called a kumaz. You understand? So the Gemara says, Amar le Rava, which is Rav Yosef's Chavruta, he says, I'm going to explain to you in Hebrew how you get it. You said in Aramaic how you understood it. I'm going to say you in Hebrew. Migufei de krashma mina. I can tell you from the word itself. Kumaz is an acronym. Kan makom zima. Over here is the place of zima. So I want to ask you guys a question. How did they get that kumaz? But they said to Moshe, we didn't do anything.
Maybe they told him to give it?
How did you know that it was there?
Huh?
How did you know it was there?
Well, how did they get the kumaz? Well, some women they kept alive, some women they did the nikama. So that means after the nikama, they opened it up and they took the kumaz.
It was from the dead women
Huh?
alive?
No, they kept all the women alive.
From everything, even from the live ones. They took everything, right? So that means that even though they didn't do an avera, the Gemara says, Mideh avera yatzanu. We didn't do any averot. What does it mean we didn't do averot? I want to ask you guys a question. Aren't they allowed to?
Yeah.
What's the mitzvah? They're allowed to, right?
They're at war.
You're at war. So Rashi says, Machlok at Rashi and Rambam. Rashi says the mitzvah is at war. So if you're at war, you have eshet yifat toar, you're already taking the kumaz. In a sense, so if you can't hold yourself, if you can't hold yourself, it's not a mitzvah. If you can't hold yourself, you do the avera. According to the Rambam, it doesn't mean if you at the war. It's when you bring her back. In a sense of machal. Let's say according to Rashi, right? How come Moshe got upset at them? Because they were allowed to. So what's the big deal?
You're supposed to
The mitzvah is only in a reshut, milchemet reshut, you're allowed to do yifat Torah. Not in a milchemet mitzvah. In a milchemet mitzvah, you gotta take it out. Finish it. They didn't do it. That's what they did. That's it. But look, midei avera yatzanu. We didn't do avera, and here we get the root in the Gemara that hirhur avera. That's the avera that they did. Midei hirhur lo yatzanu. What was the avera we all did? All inside the mind, Mahashavot ra'ot.
And they all had one mind instead.
And that was their avera. That's why they brought a Korban. Miyad, right after that, v'nakrevet Korban Hashem. We brought the Korban. Why did the Korban have to be the thing that they actually caused them to have the Hirura? And the question is the answer. When you bring a Korban to Hashem, the point of the Korban is to make you feel bad. Why do you bring in animals a Korban? Because you just lost $500. You understand? And also when you see the Kohen slaughter, you're like, that's supposed to be me over there. It's instead of me, you start to do major vidui over there. If you bring the Korban, you don't do vidui, or you're lied while doing the vidui. Obviously, it doesn't help. Correct? That's why you have to do smicha with all your koach. When you do smicha on the animal, you gotta take with full force. Why with full force? Your actions bring you to the right machshava. You understand? So when you do with full force, you say, "Oh, really? That's the weight of the avera on me. Is that how I think it is?" So they have inside them all these kumazes and all these agilim. And how do they get these agilim? Through the hirure avera. This hirure avera cannot be atoned through animals. It has to come from a place that hurts. The actual thing that made you the avera has to come as the korban. What brings you to the avera has to be the korban. And over here we could make a gezerah shava over here, or a binyan av, that if you want to do a tikkun for hirure avera, has to be kesef v'zahav. And also, it's brought down that if a person wants to do tikkun, let's say he has a feeling that hirur avera is coming to him. Nobody has a kumaz these days. If you have a hirur avera coming to you, right away give tzedakah. The sigula is to give tzedakah. I'm giving right now $20 to tzedakah to be levatel the hirur avera. I'm not done yet. Tana David Rabbi Yishmael. So was taught in the academy of Rabbi Yishmael. It's not a simple thing, because to be in a level of to get nivu'ah, ruach hakodesh, to be a tzaddik, besides for fixing your ma'aseh, you also have to fix your machshava. Tana David Rabbi Yishmael was taught in the academy of Rabbi Yishmael. Why did the Jews of that generation need an atonement? I understand the previous generation, the time of Moses, needs atonement. Egel HaZahav, Shpichut Damim, they went against Moshe, the Meraglim didn't need atonement. These are the kids. Why do they need an atonement?
This is 40 years later.
40, exactly. It says over here, Mipnei, says Rabbi Yishmael, Shizanu enehem min ha'irva. Because they enjoyed looking at the Makom Irva. They didn't have Shemirat Ha'inayim. So here is another source in the Gemara that the Avera of Pegam Ha'inayim needs a Korban. Needs a Kapara. Amar Rav Sheshat. I'm not finishing, guys. Rav Sheshat says over there, here's a scarier part, a scarier Gemara. Mipnei ma mana hakatuv tachshitin shebachutz im tachshitin shebifnim. The Gemara is a kasha. Okay, they're bringing a Korban, right? Yes or no? They're bringing a donation. That's the Korban, right? Why does it have to say they brought a ring and a gil and a kumaz?
Just say gold.
Just say they brought the gold. The Gemara says, Lomar lecha, says Rav Sheshat. Kol hamistakel be'etzba ktana shel isha. Even if you look at a ring, which is in a place where it's not a erva, ki'ilu mistakel be'mikom torfa. It's as if you looked at the kumaz. Wow. If you looked at the agil and you enjoyed it, don't say it's not an erva makom, but you enjoyed it. It's as if you looked with makom a kumaz. That's why the pasuk. Look how far the Torah goes. It has to point out agil, tabat, kumaz. Why does it have to point all this stuff out? Lomar lecha, all these things. Just as the makom ha tameh, the erva is an avera, so too hazan et eino hamistakel be'etzba ktana shel isha. It's an avera, and on this the Gemara and the Shulchan Aruch in the Even HaEzer paskins the halacha that a man is not allowed to look at a woman in times when they're doing the laundry. Today you should say in times of old times. But there are certain halachot back then they used to do laundry in the river, so they used to pick up their skirts. So there's certain halachot. For example, a woman is not allowed to wear certain colors because they attract the eyes. Eov, remember Job? Who wrote the book of Eov? Jewish trivia? Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the book of Eov.
Because he wasn't there when this happened. God told him.
Moshe, the Gemara says, Balabatar Moshe wrote Eov. So Moshe wrote not 5 books of the Torah, he wrote 6 books. So Moshe Rabbeinu, gonna catch a rabbi in a question? How many books Moshe? No, don't do that. So Moshe Rabbeinu, so Eov, when he was fighting with Hakadosh Baruch Hu, right, with his 3 friends, he had 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, Omar, so he had 3 friends, Omar, Bildad, Ashuchi, and Eliphaz Temani. Eliphaz Temani was Eliphaz.
That's
the son of Esau. That was Eov's best friend, and they were Nevi'im. They spoke to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So in one point, Eov is trying to say in the book of Job, very, very good book to read. Very good book. A lot of things over there. Read the translation. And in the book of Eov, Eov is complaining because once he lost all of his money, he didn't complain. His kids passed away, lo aleinu, he didn't complain. But then he started to get the boils and the diseases to his body, then he started to complain. And one of his complaints was, he says, look how righteous I am. Ma itboneh al betulah. Not only didn't I look at a married woman, I never even looked at a single woman. He's allowed to. Why? Back then they were allowed to marry more than one wife, so you want to look at her to see how she is. Ma itboneh al betulah, he said. I didn't even look at her. Why is Hashem punishing me over here? He didn't know he was Terach. And Terach was with his wife Nida, and his wife Dina is this. If he would have known that, he wouldn't have said anything. And that's what happens at the end. At the end, God reveals himself from the Sa'ara, from Shamayim, and he asks Eov one question, one sentence, and you would look at this like, how does that answer the question? Because right after Eov, he understood it, and he's so sorry. He said, I never meant all these things. If I would have known, I wouldn't have said anything. And God tells him, where were you? Efayita bios di aretz. Where were you when I created the world? So the Ari says, what was God telling Eov? He was telling him, where were you when I put your neshama where it's supposed to be? How do you know who your Gilgul is and what you did and what you're paying for? You don't know your Terach. If you would know your Terach, you would shut your mouth and say, Todah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that I'm getting it over here and not getting it somewhere else. And right after that, Eov shut his mouth. He's Terach. Eov is Terach. You understand? So, but the point is, Eov was on such a level that he's even a tzaddik, he's tzaddik. But if he does, now the Hirur Averah, it's a very big Avera, and I'm going to read you something crazy. Why am I telling you this? We shouldn't think Hirurei Avera. It means the Gemara and Masechet Sanhedrin says most people in the world do the Avera of Gezer. Most people are Gazlanim, the stealers. Small stealing. You know? For example, you use the company phone to talk to your wife during work. You understand? You're stealing your boss's time. It's Gizela. Or if you use your own phone, it's your own phone. If you use your company's phone, it's Gizela. Or for example, Genevat Hadat. Genevat Hadat, I want to look at his house if it's for sale. I know I'm not going to make an offer. I just want to see it. Or I go to a store to see a computer. If I'm not going to buy, I just want to see the competition, so I should do whatever I'm going to do myself. It's Genevat Hadat. Person sees you walking inside, says Shulchan Aruch. You can't do such a thing. It's Genevat Hadat. Today, we have computers. You can go online and see what's all the competition. And back then, or seeing a house, for example. I want to see how much this house is worth, but you're not gonna buy. You know you're not gonna buy it. Why? I just want to see it. You can't do that. You're wasting, first of all, the real estate's guys and the realtor's time. You can't do such a thing. It's Genevat Hadat for sure. Okay? I said this to somebody. I said you can't just go see. You gotta be. You're ready or no? You know what I'm saying?
You're ready for the market.
Yeah, you're ready for the market. So that's Gazlanim. That's Gezer. You go to a store and you start to use their thing, the store policies, only if you're buying something. And you're using their commodities over there. You can't do such a thing, you understand? Shop around. If you go to a store and you're like, you want to taste the grapes, that, you have to know what's the policy of the store. You have to know the policy. Yeah, some places are makpidim, some places they're not makpidim. The guy who's walking around, he sees everyone is throwing in the grape, he doesn't say it, but some places they're makpidim. You understand? Or for example, you use somebody's book. And that person doesn't want you to use his book. It's Gezer. You understand? Tefillin and talit you're allowed to use. Why? A person wants you to do a mitzvah with his Dvarim Shel Mitzvah. But some people, they're makpidim, by the way. So that's Gazlanim. I don't want to get into Gezer right now. Secondly, the Gemara says some people in the world, they do arayot. Some, not a lot. I'm not sure about this generation, but let's give ourselves kavod zechut. The Gemara says some do arayot. Then the Gemara says, but everybody does hirhurim. Even the biggest tzaddik falls in the hirhur. Nobody could escape the hirhur. It's not possible unless you live in Mea Sha'arim and you close yourself up in your room your whole life and you only go up, and even when you're going to go out to do shopping, you're still going to fall in a hirhur.
You have a delete button.
But David HaMelech said, V'libi chalal b'kirbi. My heart has no blood. Obviously his heart had blood. What did he mean that my heart has no blood?
No desire.
I have no desire. One time he had desire, and the Torah doesn't explicitly say that out of the kavod of the David HaMelech. Only one time, and not Batsheva. By Batsheva, it was an ones. They forced him from Shamayim. It was a test that he asked for. He asked for the test. That wasn't with Batsheva. I'm not going to get into Batsheva right now. There was another wife that he had. Kol hakavod. By Abigail. When Abigail came down the mountain, David wanted to kill her husband, Nabal. It's his cousin, by the way. Nabal was Nabal a Carmeli. By the way, who's the Gilgul of Lavan? Says the Ari Kadosh. It's in his name.
Lavan.
Huh?
No.
Lavan. Lavan. And who was Lavan? Naval. In the middle. Lavan, blink, Naval. Who's in the middle? I'll give you a hint. This is
The donkey. No.
What's his name?
Bilam.
Bilam. Yeah. Lavan is Bilam and Bilam is Naval. That's why Bilam said, Tamot nafshi mot yesharim. I want to die a straight death. What does it mean he wants to die a straight death?
Be a Jew.
He wanted to die as a Jew. He got his wish at the end.
Yes.
It means he wasn't saying I want to die a straight death. He was prophesizing I will die one day as a Jew. Because he had a nitzotz kadosh in him. He was Naval a Carmeli. And he did come back as a Jew, not only as any Jew. He died. Naval Carmeli was one of the richest men in the Jewish history.
He wanted to kill his cousin?
No, Naval, David HaMelech was running away from his father-in-law at that time, Shaul. And David said, I'm going to do this guy a favor. I'm going to watch his sheep in the field. And I'm going to ask him for some donation, let's call it.
Some pennies.
Yeah, some pennies. Naval said, who is this David? And who is this Ben Yishai? It's a dog. He's a dead dog. What do I need to give him? So David got so angry. I watched this guy's thing. Not only did he didn't give me, he also... David was Mishorish Kain, by the way. He was Mishorish Kain. He loved blood. So David said, he says, I'm going to kill this guy so badly, there won't be left somebody that could urinate on a wall. That means any men. Men, they do it standing up. So that's a code word in the Tanakh. It means I'm going to kill every single man in his family. What happened was, Abigail, his wife, was a tzaddik, and she knew Baruch HaKodesh, David is coming. Right away, Chochmot Nashim Banta Beta, she picked all she took 10 things of wine, this, that. She went out to greet David with his job. He's going up, down. He's coming down the mountain, or she was coming down, and he was going up the hill, and it's morning, it hit the morning, and he was so bejal, he went in the night. He wanted to just go inside there and rip him apart, Naval. And Abigail is coming down, and the Gemara says that he stopped in the way. Why did he stop? So the Gemara says that she picked up her skirt. Not all the way. Just to show her calf.
Wow.
You understand? Not all the way. Don't be easy. She was a Nivi'ah. She was a prophetess. She was a prophetess.
Just this part?
Yeah, just the calf over here.
Wow.
She just picked up the calf.
That was a warning.
That was the one time David had a Hirhur Avera.
Oh, you thought about it.
Yeah. He had a Hirhur Avera. Abigail was one of the 5 most beautiful women to ever live. So the Gemara says that just the calf, it was night still.
Wow.
It was like it's like he had such a moment, and the Torah, out of the respect of David, the Gemara says, kind of like yes, it didn't explicitly say that what David was thinking of. At the end, David, he didn't brush it off. I'm saying it to you right now, no? So then then afterwards, when Naval found out he was so cheap, when he found out that his wife gave the donation from the cheapness, from the tsar, he didn't. He's gonna divorce her. He died.
I lost too much money.
He died out of depression.
Yeah.
Where did he die? What day of the year was it?
Shabbat.
Close. It was a fast day. Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur. He died.
Imagine if
He died in Yom Kippur.
It's bad to die on Kippur.
I don't know for him but it was Bil'am. He wanted to die in the day of the Yisharim. He died in the day of the Yisharim. He died. Nabal died, but David had the Hirur, and that's why Abigail told him, your soul will stay in the place of eternity. So Ari says, why did she say that to him? Your soul, she's going to convince him to keep her husband alive and not to kill the house of Nabal. And she's over there telling him, your soul is going to stay in the place of eternity, and it's not going to go to Kaf HaKela. That's the one place in the Tanakh where we see the words Kaf HaKela. So they said, because the Ari says, because of the Hirhur that he had, he was afraid that he's going to go to Kaf HaKela.
Wow, just for that.
His level, like just for seeing her like that, he was afraid he was going to go to Kaf HaKela. And she told him, don't worry about it, you're good, you're going to be with Tzorah Chaim. And then he calmed down and he said, thank you for saving my life, not to kill him out of my revenge. And then after Nabal died, he married her. And then she had a son from him called Daniel. And he was one of the 5 men who never sinned in their life. Nice story, huh? So, and I want to tell you guys now, so we have a couple of minutes left. I didn't tell you the Ariya Kadosh yet, but first, we didn't get into Kaas yet. Let's open inside the Gemara real quick. What does it say about Kaas? How Moshe got Bekaas over here. Not the first time. 3 times we've seen the Torah, Moshe got angry. One, we said when Nadav and Avihu died, they burned the Korban. Forgot the halacha. Oh, by the water is the second time, exactly. Here's the third, and the third time is by the water. Every time Moshe gets angry, he loses something. Twice he lost the halacha, and once he lost his chance to go inside Eretz Israel. So anger is a pretty tough thing. I'm going to read you what the Ari says about anger. You're going to freak out. Okay, it's worse than Hiruri. Worse than Hiruri. By the way, what does the Ari says the Tikkun for Hirurim Ra'im? What does the Ari say? En Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, the Ari says, Tikkun le'adam ha'choteh b'machshava, if a person sins b'machshava, yit'aneh pei zayin ta'aniyot. He has to fast 87 fasts. For one bad thought. Now the question is, does this mean you just freaked out? You lost the color on your face. No, I'm kidding. The question is, Vaizer levatala. It's how many fasts?
It's 84.
That's what the Gemara means. Hirhur avera kashem avera.
It's more.
You get it? It's words of the avera. Now, how do you say 87 in Hebrew? How do you say? What's the letters? What's 80? Pei. What's 7? Zayin. Paz. How do you say gold in Hebrew? Paz. What do they give as their korban? The gold. That's why they gave the gold. You get it? See, that's why they gave the kesef as the tikkun. I guess I didn't have the power to do 87 ta'aniyot, so they gave the gold as a... So every time you give tzedakah, it would be a very good thing to say. It also should be a kapara for my hirurim ra'im. I asked one mikubal, a big mikubal, he said the Ari wasn't so machmir for hirurei arayot, but the Ari was talking about was a hirur of avodah zarah. It's a hirur of avodah zarah. There is room to argue with that. The Ari did not say specifically, but that mikubal that I asked, he said the Ari was talking about hirhurim ra'im of avodah zarah, because the Gemara does say in Kiddushin that if you have a hirhur of avodah zarah and you meant to serve avodah zarah, and you didn't do an action, but the thought of doing avodah zarah is in the same level of actually doing avodah zarah.
So anger.
That's why the Torah says, "Al tifnu ele elelim." Do not. How do you say tifnu?
Straight?
You're not allowed to wander or turn. You cannot turn to foreign gods. So the Sefer HaCharedim says, it's Paskin Halacha. It means if you have 2 ways to go, one passes a church, and one is longer, but it doesn't pass the church, you have to go the longer way and not walk on the way of the church. Wow. You should move away. Al tifnu eleim. If you're driving the church, and try not to turn. Understand? Because there's the Yetzirah going to be big. And now, I want to read you right now before. So that's the Tikkun Machshava. I didn't read to the Kaas yet, what the Ari says about Kaas. I want to read you a Zohar Chadash. It's an amazing Zohar Chadash. I want to read it to you. It's a bit of a scary Zohar Chadash. But bear with me. We're here to learn. We're not here to, be ananin. Right? Amar. So the Zohar says like this. Zohar Chadash Parashat Noach. And I just read it today, and I was doing my shiur on this, and boom, the Zohar Chadash was talking about it. I said, wow, it's Mina Shamayim. It means it all connects. The Zohar says, Ele Toledot Noach. These are the generations of Noach. Rabbi Alexandrai Amar. Rabbi Alexander said. It was as an Amor in the Gemara. What is he doing in the Zohar? That's a shiur within itself. What are Amoraim doing in the Zohar? That's a shiur within itself. Lo yebecha el zar. You should not have foreign gods. You're not allowed to have another way of saying foreign gods. You should not have a foreign god. Don't listen to your Yetzer Hara. The Zohar equates you listening to your Yetzer Hara as having a foreign god, because you're listening to a foreign god. You should not bow down to a foreign god. This is somebody who does be'ilah with an aramit, with a goya. So bowing down to Avodah Zarah doesn't actually mean, according to the Zohar, bowing down to Avodah Zarah. If one is bo'el aram goya, bo'el means to do the avera. It's as if he bowed down to a Avodah Zarah. The Zohar continues. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Lo yeh becha elzar. You should not have a foreign god. Shelo teheh noach likos. You should not get angry. Shekol hakoes, one who gets angry, kilu oved avodah zarah. It's as if he serves foreign gods. Da'amar Rabbi Akiva says, Kachu darko shel Yetzer Hara. This is the way of Yetzer Hara. Today he tells you get angry. Tomorrow he says do avodah zarah. Then he tells you to be with the goya. Hu haya omer. Rabbi Akiva used to say, Kaas shel talmid chacham, the kaas of a talmid chacham, gadol mikulam. It's worse than the kaas of a regular person. And what are these ways talking about? It says over here, when he has kaas for Hashem Yitbarach, like Pinchas had, zetov, it's good. Amrat Torah, en chokhmah, en tivuna, en etzah neged Hashem. When you're fighting for Hashem, there's no chokhmah, there's no etzah. You gotta go in there like Pinchas, Rosh Bakir. Aval b'dvarim acherim, like for kavod, mora, asur. But it says over here, but when he's coming to defend his kavod for the Torah, mutar likos, he's allowed to be koes. But he's not allowed to be koes for anything else. That means, when does a person koes the most? When he's with people or when he's at home? When he comes home, that's when he's koes the most. When the table's not set, when the house is a balagan, when the laundry has been piled up for the past 2 weeks, that's when he's koes. It is that's the kaas. If it's for a month, it's a sign you have to do the laundry already. Take upon yourself this pizza. Amar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, what's the midah of tzaddikim? Kashe likos. They don't get angry fast. That's a tzaddik. You know that tzaddik? They don't get angry fast. Noach lirtzot. When they do get angry, they cool down really quickly. Vezo hamidah hagedolah mikulam. And this is the greatest midah, says the Zohar. The Zohar says mikulam. Whoever is kashe likos, venoach lirtzot. Says the Gemara in Masechet Pesachim, page 66. It says over here, Hillel HaZaken forgot the halacha on Pesach and falls on Shabbat. Then the question, could we bring the Pesach to the Beis HaMikdash? And he forgot the halacha. We mentioned this Thursday night. Why did he forget the halacha? He got angry. If you're a prophet, you forget your prophecy. How do we know that? From Devorah. Devorah, she in her song, the song of Devorah, she says, "May Hashem come back to me." The Gemara says, why did she say that? She got angry and she had ga'ava. She called herself the mother of Israel. Hashem said, I never told you to say that. You called her the mother of Israel, and I have to ask for me to come back. You lose your thing.
Women like to add stuff.
Yeah, and Elisha Hanavi lost his nivu'ah because he got angry. How? When did he get angry? When he saw the king. Remember that king? He was Oved Avodah Zarah, the king of Israel, and he told him, I don't want to see your face. And then they asked him for the prophecy. He forgot he couldn't get the prophecy. So what did he take? Guitar. He took a harp, he started to play the guitar, and the nivu'ah came back. That's what we see. Music is the pathway of the nivu'ah. That's for the kaas that says in the Gemara. Oh, and here's another one. The brother of David HaMelech was supposed to be king. Why did he lose the kingship? Because Hashem knew that he was a man of fast anger. A person who's fast anger can never be a leader. For the eldest brother, Eliab, Shmuel HaNavi saw him and he said to him, Ach neged Hashem v'shicho. He called him Mashiach. Yeah. So the Gemara says, then he took the oil, the keren, the shofar. Nothing came out. Hashem says, you see him, I see inside, he's a Baal Kas. He's a man of anger, don't take him to be king. Says the Arya Kadosh, and we're going to end with this. What's the tikkun of anger?
Happiness?
What are you, a Breslau? Happiness over here?
152. How many fast? 150.
Where are you running? Tikkun el Adam HaKoes. A person that gets angry, he has a tikkun, says the Arya Kadosh. Says, my Rebbe really wanted badly to give me a final and strong tikkun for Kaas, but he passed away before he could tell us. Says the Arya Kadosh. Ikaro, says Rav Chaim, but the main thing, Sarich lit'anot kana ta'aniyot. You have to fast 151 fasts. 151 for every time you get angry, but it's not enough. Every day you have to have a name of Hashem in your mind. Shem Ekia b'miluyehin. Aleph Lamed Fei. Letters Hey Hey. Yud Vav Dalet. Letters Hey Hey. Every single day for 151 days. And it says also it's good when your person's about to get angry to think of this name, and it's going to help him to get rid of his anger. Also a good tikkun for anger from the Ari HaKadosh is in the book Sefer HaYichudim. I have to tell you the sources because one guy listened to my shiur and he's like, whoa, it's not written in this book. I had to correct him because I said the right source, but you were thinking I was talking about something else. So I'm telling you, this is written in the book Sha'ar HaYichudim of the Ari HaKadosh, not Ruach HaKodesh, Sha'ar HaYichudim, to fix anger, tikkun of anger, to dip twice a week in the mikveh. Which days you have to dip? Specific days. Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays and Fridays are specific days to make a tikkun for anger. When you go to the mikveh, it's not I dip in the mikveh and that's it, I'm good. You have to have the name of Hashem in your mind as a kavanah. Which name? Once again, Aleph Lamed Hey, Hey, Yud Vav Dal, then Hey, Hey. If that is kavanah.
Are you allowed to take this and like waterproof it and
put it in the mikveh? No.
No, I'm saying like so.
Inside the mikveh, you cannot, because our mikvahs today are also bathhouses. We have a lot of zohama over there. You have what to rely Shevet HaLevi, but Rabbi Yosef also used to say you can't even have kavanah in the mikveh because it's hot and the people come and they're sweaty, this, that. The Shevet HaLevi was meked if they filter the water. There's a filter on. Okay, listen, we do have kavanah. We're not makbid. We're not machmir like Rav Ovadia in this. But for example, I personally don't spend a lot of time in the mikveh. If anybody sees me in the mikveh, I go in one time. I don't even do more. Only on Fridays I do maybe 5 dips. But every other time I go to the mikveh, only 1 dip and I get out. Why? People think mikvehs are saunas. They stay in the mikveh. And sometimes there's a lot of weird things going on in the mikveh. I try not to, like, okay, go. I don't want to know. The guy is taking 20 minutes in the mikveh. If he's not a mikubal, then he's a weirdo. And I'd rather go for the weirdo than the mikubal. It doesn't look like people, even though, unless it's a tzaddik nistar. Maybe he is. I don't know. Some people go to the mikveh because they don't have showers to go to. 100%, I've seen it. And they go and they just go for the shower, and people not right in the head, and they start to yell in the middle of the mikveh. Just last week there was a guy who came out of jail, and he likes to hang out on Main Street, and he came to the mikveh yelling, screaming, cursing, and I'm there in the mikveh. I'm like, oh my God, another one. I went inside the mikveh and I get out over there. Understand? I'm not gonna say which mikveh. Maybe it's Lashon Hara. I don't want to get into it. But however, another thing I want to tell you from the mikveh. Midat HaKaas says the Ari chamura meod. It's very bad. That's why the Ari was makpid bekaas mikol ha'averot. He was makpid in this tikkun more than all the tikkunim on kaas. If you look on his tikkunim of the Ari, he has maybe 20 tikkunim for kaas. Everything has one tikkun. This one has like 20. Kavanot and shacharit, mikvaot, ta'aniyot, kavanot. Why? Harav zal natan tam. The Ari gave a reason for kaas. Ki alo kol shar averot, all the averot. Kol avera ena pogemet ela be'ever echad. That avera, to do the sin, did avera with my hands. Chas v'shalom. Where does I pogem? In the hands. I did avera with the breed. The averas in the breed. With the eyes. In the moach. Aval kaas hu toref nafsho be'avod. The whole body goes with the kaas. Also with kaas as the Ari, when a person has kaas, he loses the tzaddikim that are inside of him. If there are tzaddikim that are inside of you helping you out to do mitzvah and sin tovim, you lose them with kaas. The Ari HaKadosh was very makpid bekaas. Now, you're saying, how am I going to fast 151 times? First you told me 87, and I already lost hope. And now you're telling me 151 times. So the Ben Ish Chai HaKadosh gave us a tikkun in Lashon Chachamim, very easy. All you need is 151 perutot. Perutot is 151 coins. And you need to go to the mikveh and dip 151 times. Before you go to the mikveh, you take the coins. Now it's better not to go with coins actually. $151. And you do year ratzon, the whole year ratzon over there. This should be instead of 151 fasts. And then Rabbi Ish Chai says, go to the mikveh and dip 100, not like this. Like those guys do like Rav Yitzchak Kaduri used to laugh on these people. Rav Shmuel Darzi used to laugh on these. He says, what are they? This is some kind of joke over here? Like, Baba, this over here. Or he's saying hello, goodbye to everyone over here. Rav Yitzchak Kaduri in his book, Divrei Yitzchak, used to say, those people who with their hands go like this and that, they're getting their shefa from the hand. When you go up with your head, you have to get the shefa through the head. You understand?
So it's right way.
You gotta do it with the head. Even though halachically speaking, even if you go one up and down, it counts as 1, 2, 3. But the right way, kabbalistically speaking, you have to do it with the head. Now, when a person dips in the mikveh, they were mekubalim every single day. Before shacharit, 151 times you dip in the mikveh.
Wow.
Now you might say, well, the Ari says 151 fast. Why are you jumping to the $151 and 151 tevilot in the mikveh? Ben Ish Hai, first of all, was the Yosef HaTzadik of his generation. Number one, he had book of Gilgulim, means he reached levels that nobody ever reached in the last 150 years.
Wow.
He was the Rebbe Daftaya, for the love of God. You understand? The Ben Ish Hai saw that the generation doesn't need to go so far to do tikkunim. Doesn't need to go this far. For example, the Ari says, for every time you make a neder and you don't keep it, every time you go over the neder is 6 fasts.
Wow.
Every time you're pogem in your father and mother, you hurt your parents, 27 fasts. The Ben Ish Chai gave certain tikkunim for all these things, and you have to do these tikkunim at least once in your life. At least once. For example, every time a person is with a nida, that's 1 karet. Karet, you have to stay up all night, learn Torah.
Stay what?
Yeah, stay up all night, learn Torah. But the Mekubalim teach us there are certain days of the year, if you stay up those nights up, they're equal to hundreds of times that you, for example, Shavuot night. Shavuot night. The Mekubalim say, if you stay up Shavuot night, you don't sleep 1 second, you could fix so many karets. Hoshana Rabbah, you could fix so many karets. If you stay up in the night of your birthday, for example, when your mazal is big, and you do a lot of Kiddusha on that day, you could fix a lot in your shorsh. Now it's coming the month of Elul. Torah Chacham says there are certain times of the year, from Elul until Yom Kippur, and from Yom Kippur until the end of Sukkot, they're ginormous days. 1 tikkun during those times could equal to 10, 20 tikkunim. You understand? But you're not allowed to lose the advantage of those days.
Bonus.
You understand? Ben Ish Chai revealed certain things. Now, a person does averot and now he's clogging his pipes. You got to open the pipes. Those pipes you could only open through these things. If the Moshe Rabbeinu lost his chance of going inside Eretz Yisrael because of one anger, he lost halachot. That means his name was blotted out from the Torah because of anger. And those 2 parashiyot, imagine how much more so it can affect us. So therefore, we said a lot of interesting things tonight. Maybe a bit too much information packed into one shiur. I still didn't say everything I was going to say, but may Hashem bless us, mitaken. All the סיכויים לי זה מתקן. יראה ברכה, הצלחה, ישוב וגדולות. ומי זוכה לביאת כל יצא, כל ההצלחות. מי זוכה לתקן, לעלות מעלה בתורה, מעשים טובים. ברוך ה' לעולם. אמן ואמן. רבי חנן הקשיא אומר,